Imagine a landscape where the mighty hydroelectric stations that once powered Scotland's industrial revolution are now reborn as the beating heart of a 21st century clean energy transformation. Picture the sun rising over the rolling hills of Dumfries and Galloway, or Lanarkshire, its golden rays glinting off hundreds of shimmering solar panels perched atop the roofs and grounds of hydro plants built nearly a century ago. It is a striking blend of old-world engineering and futuristic innovation, a living fusion of tradition and progress. Yet, beyond this picturesque scene, a critical question emerges. Could this extraordinary partnership between century-old hydro stations and cutting-edge solar arrays finally propel Scotland to the very forefront of the world's green energy movement? Or will it remain a beautiful but ultimately limited experiment in the history of renewable power? To appreciate why this hybrid vision is so significant, let's journey back through time and understand how Scotland became a pioneer in harnessing natural energy. In the early decades of the 20th century, Scotland faced the urgent challenge of electrifying its growing towns and rapidly expanding industrial centers. The answer came in the form of the Galloway and Lanark hydro schemes, monumental feats of civil engineering for their era. The Lanark hydroelectric project, completed in the year 1926, and the Galloway scheme, launched in 1935, were among the first of their kind in Europe, using the kinetic energy of rivers like the Clyde and the Dee to generate clean, renewable electricity. For generations, these hydro stations provided a reliable backbone of power, lighting homes, fueling factories, and supporting the economic development that shaped modern Scotland. But the energy landscape has shifted dramatically since those early days. Today, the climate emergency has forced governments and industries around the globe to completely rethink how we generate and consume energy. Fossil fuels, once considered the engine of progress, are now recognized as the primary drivers of global warming and environmental degradation. Scotland, always a pioneer in the energy sector, has set some of Europe's most ambitious environmental targets, achieving 100% renewable electricity by the year 2030 and reaching net zero carbon emissions by the year 2045. Meeting these goals requires more than just building new wind farms or expanding hydro capacity. It demands a radical reimagining of how existing infrastructure can be upgraded and integrated with the latest green technologies. This is where Drax, a major force in the United Kingdom's renewable energy sector, enters the scene. Drax is now spearheading an ambitious plan to install approximately 1,500 solar panels across 8 of Scotland's historic hydropower stations. The sites targeted for this transformation are scattered across the southwest, including both the Galloway and Lanark schemes, some of which have stood for nearly a century. The concept is elegant in its simplicity. Harness the power of the sun to generate electricity for the station's own backup and auxiliary systems, instead of drawing that energy from the national grid. According to Drax's projections, these solar installations could generate up to 482 megawatt-hours of clean electricity every year. To put that in perspective, that is enough to power well over 100 typical Scottish homes for a full year, simply by upgrading existing sites. This initiative is more than just an engineering upgrade. It is a vivid example of hybrid renewable energy in action. Hybrid systems combine different types of renewables, such as wind, solar, and hydro, often with energy storage technologies, to maximize generation, smooth out supply fluctuations, and build a more resilient grid. By blending the reliability of hydro with the flexibility of solar, these projects can adapt to changing weather conditions and energy demands. If the sun is shining, solar panels provide power. If it is raining and rivers swell, hydroelectric turbines pick up the slack. And with advanced battery storage on the horizon, excess energy captured during peak generation can be stored for use during cloudy days or dry spells. But why are these changes being proposed now? The answer lies in a combination of mounting pressure and new opportunity. Scotland's climate targets are fast approaching, and the traditional approach of relying solely on wind or hydro will not be enough to achieve them. As Dr. Keith Bell, professor of smart grids at the University of Strathclyde, explains, hybrid renewable projects are absolutely vital for energy security and for driving down carbon emissions in Scotland. By combining different types of renewable energy, like solar, hydro, and even emerging storage technologies, energy providers can maximize generation, smooth out supply fluctuations, and build a more resilient grid. The need for hybrid systems is underscored by Scotland's challenging climate. While the country is famous for its abundance of rain and wind, sunshine can be in short supply, especially during the long, cloudy winters. Nevertheless, new solar panel technologies have dramatically improved efficiency, allowing them to generate electricity even in low-light conditions. By spreading risk across multiple types of renewables, Scotland can ensure that its energy supply remains stable, even as weather patterns grow more unpredictable due to climate change. Yet, as with any bold innovation, challenges abound. Drax's proposal is designed to reduce the hydro station's dependence on the local electricity grid, particularly for their internal operations. This could save significant operational costs, enhance resilience during grid disruptions, and help ensure that the sites can keep running in the event of a national emergency. However, some skeptics question whether adding solar panels to historic hydro stations will have a meaningful impact on Scotland's overall energy needs. The hydro plants themselves, after all, already generate large amounts of renewable electricity. The solar panels will primarily support their own operations, rather than feeding directly into the grid. There are also questions about the scalability of this approach. Can hundreds or thousands of small-scale hybrid upgrades truly add up to a national solution? Or are they merely a drop in the ocean compared to the vast energy demands of modern society? To answer this, it is worth looking at the numbers. Drax estimates that their planned solar installations will generate up to 482 megawatt-hours of electricity per year. While this is a relatively small fraction of Scotland's total electricity consumption, it is a crucial step toward reducing reliance on external sources and improving the efficiency of existing assets. If similar projects were rolled out across the country's many other hydro stations, the cumulative effect could be significant, potentially saving thousands of tons of carbon dioxide emissions each year. The economic considerations are equally complex. The British government's Smart Export Guarantee and earlier feed-in tariff schemes offer financial incentives for generating renewable energy and exporting surplus electricity to the grid. For example, households that signed up to the feed-in tariff after August of 2012 receive a set payment for every kilowatt-hour they generate, while the Smart Export Guarantee pays both businesses and homeowners for exporting extra power. While these programs make solar more attractive for individuals and companies, there is still debate about whether the incentives are enough to make large-scale hybrid projects financially viable, especially when considering the costs of retrofitting century-old hydro stations. Retrofitting is no small task. Installing solar panels on historic hydro stations requires careful planning to protect the architectural integrity of these heritage sites. Engineers must design specialized mounting systems that do not damage roofs or facades, while electricians must upgrade wiring and control systems to handle bidirectional flows of energy. In some cases, local planning authorities and heritage bodies must be consulted, adding time and complexity to the process. The upfront costs can be significant, though falling prices for solar technology and increasing efficiency are helping to narrow the gap. But the debate goes deeper, touching on issues of social justice, energy efficiency, and the role of communities in the energy transition. Audrey Gallagher, Deputy Chief Executive of Energy Action Scotland, voices a vital concern. Renewable energy is only part of the answer. It must be matched with serious efforts to improve energy efficiency and tackle fuel poverty. In Scotland, as in many parts of Europe, rising energy costs have put increasing strain on households, particularly in rural and low-income areas. Simply adding more renewable energy to the grid will not solve these problems unless it is accompanied by measures to help people use energy more efficiently and reduce overall demand. Richard Dixon of Friends of the Earth. Scotland shares a similar caution. While he welcomes Drax's solar hydro initiative, he warns that the focus must not shift too far toward supply-side solutions. It is vital to prioritize reducing overall energy demand to achieve our climate goals, Dixon insists. In other words, even the most innovative renewable projects will fall short unless they are part of a broader strategy that includes efficiency, conservation, and support for vulnerable communities. This means investing in better insulation for homes, smarter heating systems, and educational campaigns to help people make informed choices about their energy use. So, what are the possible consequences if Drax's hybrid experiment succeeds? If the model proves effective, it could inspire a wave of similar projects across Scotland and beyond. Imagine dozens, perhaps hundreds, of historic hydro stations, each modernized with state-of-the-art solar arrays and advanced control systems. These hybrid sites could collectively generate thousands of megawatt-hours of clean electricity each year, dramatically reducing Scotland's reliance on fossil fuels and helping to insulate the country from volatile global energy prices. The environmental benefits would be substantial, with significant reductions in carbon emissions and a cleaner, more stable energy supply. The ripple effects could extend far beyond Scotland's borders. Countries around the world are grappling with the twin challenges of decarbonization and aging infrastructure. Scotland's experiment with hybrid hydrosolar plants could serve as a blueprint for others. For example, in Germany, the Energiewende movement has shown both the promise and the pitfalls of a rapid shift to renewables. There, integrating solar and wind with existing hydro infrastructure has proven challenging, but also highly rewarding in terms of energy security and emissions reductions. Denmark, a global leader in wind power, is now investing heavily in energy islands and storage solutions to balance its variable supply. China, the world's largest producer of solar panels, is also seeking ways to integrate solar with hydro and other renewables to stabilize its massive grid. Each of these countries can learn from Scotland's approach, honor the past, innovate for the future, and put people at the center of the transition. Despite these hurdles, the opportunities are significant. Nigel Holmes, chief executive of Scottish Renewables, sees tremendous potential in combining solar with hydro. Integrating solar with existing hydro infrastructure showcases innovation and maximizes the potential of Scotland's renewable resources, Holmes explains. With the rapid advancement of battery storage technology, surplus energy generated during sunny days can soon be stored for use when the sun sets or river flows drop. This would help to smooth out supply fluctuations and further reduce reliance on carbon-intensive backup systems. Looking ahead, the Scottish government is also playing a key role, offering support and incentives for homeowners, businesses, and communities that invest in solar energy. The Smart Export Guarantee ensures that even small-scale producers can be paid for contributing to the national grid, while policy frameworks encourage community-owned renewable projects. These initiatives open the door for local empowerment. Villages, towns, and even individual households can become active participants in the energy transition, keeping profits and decision-making close to home rather than flowing to distant shareholders. A powerful example of this community-driven approach can be found in the village of Fintry, in Stirlingshire. Years ago, residents banded together to invest in their own wind turbine, using the profits to support local initiatives and reduce fuel poverty. If the hybrid hydro-solar model is widely adopted, similar projects could spring up across Scotland, with local communities owning and benefiting from renewable infrastructure. This decentralized model not only builds resilience but also helps to ensure that the transition to clean energy is fair and inclusive. Let's also consider the broader implications for Scotland's energy future. If Drax's vision becomes reality, the country could become a global showcase for how historic infrastructure can be adapted for modern needs. Visitors from around the world could tour hydro stations that are not just relics of the past, but beacons of tomorrow, places where history and innovation walk side by side. Schools and universities could use these living laboratories to inspire the next generation of engineers, scientists, and policymakers. The lessons learned here could be exported to other countries facing similar challenges, from Canada to Norway to New Zealand. But success will depend on overcoming a range of technical, economic, and social challenges. Upgrading century-old hydro stations to accommodate new solar arrays is a complex engineering task. Specialized mounting systems must be designed to avoid damaging historic buildings, while electrical systems need to be updated to handle bidirectional flows of energy. Local planning authorities and heritage bodies will need to be consulted, ensuring that the changes respect Scotland's architectural legacy even as they embrace the future. There are also important questions about cost. While the price of solar panels has fallen dramatically in recent years, the initial investment required to retrofit large historic sites can be substantial. Drax and other energy companies will need to work closely with governments, regulators, and communities to ensure that the benefits of hybrid renewables are fairly distributed, and that the costs do not fall disproportionately on the most vulnerable. Governments could consider offering grants, tax breaks, or low-interest loans to offset upfront expenses, making it easier for public and private stakeholders to participate. From a technological perspective, the integration of solar and hydro is just the beginning. Advanced digital control systems, artificial intelligence, and predictive analytics can help optimize the operation of hybrid plants, ensuring that energy is generated and stored in the most efficient way possible. Real-time monitoring can identify maintenance needs before they become problems, reducing downtime and extending the life of critical infrastructure. As energy storage technologies mature, excess solar and hydropower could be stored in next-generation batteries or even converted to hydrogen, creating new pathways to a truly net-zero economy. So what does all of this mean for ordinary people? The lesson is both simple and profound. The future of clean energy is not about a single technology or a magic bullet. It is about creative combinations, learning from the past, and investing in the future. If you are a homeowner in Scotland, the government's support for solar installation could mean lower bills, greater energy independence, and even new streams of income from exporting surplus power. For businesses, hybrid renewables offer a path to lower operating costs, reduced carbon footprints, and enhanced resilience against energy price shocks. For everyone, it is a call to think differently about energy. Efficiency and smart consumption matter as much as new generation, and the collective impact of many small changes can rival the biggest infrastructure megaprojects. For students and young people, the transformation of Scotland's hydro stations can serve as an inspiration. Imagine school children visiting a hydro station that has been upgraded with solar panels and digital control rooms, where they can see firsthand how science, technology, engineering, and mathematics combine to solve real-world problems. Universities and technical colleges could partner with energy companies to offer internships, apprenticeships, and research opportunities, helping to build the skilled workforce needed for the green transition. In this way, Scotland's investment in hybrid renewables could pay dividends far beyond electricity bills. Let's not forget the global context. Around the world, countries are grappling with the challenge of decarbonizing their energy systems, often while facing aging infrastructure and political resistance. Scotland's experiment with hybrid hydro-solar plants could serve as a blueprint for others. In Germany, the Energiewende movement has shown both the promise and the pitfalls of a rapid shift to renewables. Denmark, a leader in wind power, is now investing heavily in energy islands and storage. China, the world's largest producer of solar panels, is also seeking ways to integrate solar with hydro and other renewables to stabilize its massive grid. Each of these countries can learn from Scotland's approach, honor the past, innovate for the future, and put people at the center of the transition. Of course, there are risks of unintended consequences. If hybrid projects focus too narrowly on adding capacity without addressing issues like energy poverty, grid stability, and public engagement, they could exacerbate existing inequalities or create new vulnerabilities. That is why experts like Dr. Keith Bell and Audrey Gallagher stress the need for a holistic strategy, one that combines technology, policy, and community action. In the end, will Drax's move be enough to drive Scotland's energy transformation? The answer, as is so often the case in the world of economics and technology, is nuanced. Solar panels on historic hydro stations alone will not solve every problem, but they represent a powerful step toward a more resilient, equitable, and sustainable future. They highlight both the promise and the pitfalls of technological innovation. New doors open, but only if paired with smart policy, community engagement, and a relentless focus on efficiency. Perhaps the real secret lies in the legacy of these hydro stations themselves. Designed nearly 100 years ago to adapt to the needs of a changing world, they are now being called upon once again to lead Scotland through a period of profound transformation. The road to net zero is long, and the journey will be complex. But hybrid projects like this, where history and innovation walk hand in hand, show us what is possible when we dare to dream bigger. What do you think? Can hybrid renewables truly change the game for Scotland and the world? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this story insightful, hit like and subscribe for more deep dives into the economics and technology shaping our future.